Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Career Happy Hour. We are so glad that you are tuning in with us. We're going to give it a few more minutes to have everyone get the alert that we are actually live right about now. But if you have tuned in and gotten the alert, please come on in and comment with your name. Where are you tuning in from? And we would love to hear about what are you sipping on in your favorite beverage. If you dare to share, we would love to hear it. So please come on in and drop your information, your comments in the comment section, and we will be getting started here in just a minute. I don't know about you, but I am so glad that it is hump day. It is hump day and it is career happy hour. And we are really excited about the guests that we have for you tonight. I am telling you, you are in for a treat. So please come on in and comment with your name, where are you tuning in from, and what are you sipping on? And we will be starting here in just a minute. All right, everyone. We are so excited about another episode of Career Happy Hour. We so appreciate you coming in and joining us. Like I said before, we have an exciting guest co host tonight. You are going to be thrilled and energized and so many things that you will be able to learn from this amazing woman that I cannot even begin to tell you. You will have to hear it for yourself. I am LaShena Recruitalina, and I am your six-figure career brand coach. I am absolutely obsessed with your success. And that's what Career Happy Hour is about. You know, when we think about your career, it's really anything that helps you earn a living, anything that brings in revenue for you. So that could be a corporate career job, that could be an entrepreneur, that could be, baseball players. They have a career playing baseball, right? Or a football player, they have a career playing football. So your career is anything that brings you in revenue. And that's what this show is about. I'm your career mixologist. I want to mix it up with any type of definition that you might attach to a career being just a 9 to 5. But I want you to be able to maximize if you're in a 9 to 5 job or if you're an entrepreneur. It's really about making sure that we normalize earning six figures. I am on a mission to ensure that I touch six digits of people. So 999,999, which, if you think about it, that is the max of earning six figures. It's just shy of $1 million. So six figures does not stop at $100,000. That's just the beginning. So here at Career Happy Hour, we really want to make sure that we're giving you tips, techniques, nuggets to be able to normalize earning six figures, which means that you're just shy of $1 million. All right, we are going to get started with our show tonight. Really excited, as I mentioned, about the guest co-host that we have. We have some comments that are flowing in. Hey, Career Happy Hour crew. I'm coming from Kansas City and sipping on some rum punch. Ooh, I love me some rum punch. That is some good stuff. I will want to go ahead and introduce again my amazing guest co-host. And I have a little bit of a bio. I know, a lot of times that I don't read bios with our guest co-host, but I'm telling you, I really want to make sure that it soaks in just the amazement that we have on our show tonight. So, our guest co-host is Crystal. And Crystal is a cannabis advocate, an educator, an influencer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur. She is a mom, a military wife, a military vet, a breast cancer survivor, a holistic health advocate specializing in the cannabis industry. Following 8 years of proud naval service, she went on to government contract work in the cybersecurity industry, holding a top secret security clearance for 10 plus years before falling in love with entrepreneurship. She truly has a passion for helping others with an ability to connect to people, which has driven her into motivational speaking to help women in business boost their confidence to beat stigmas all around. In 2013, as a 29-year-old newlywed trying to start a family, Crystal miscarried and was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma breast cancer in that same year. Going into fight or flight mode, she knew she didn't have time to wallow in the setbacks. She knew early on that gratitude would go a long way to carry her through almost 2 years of treatments and surgeries, while also accepting the fact that naturally conceiving a child would probably not be possible, which ultimately led her and her husband to adopt their baby girl. After years of finding her new normal, following all the cancer and mental treatments, she found herself on a scary mix of prescription medication cocktails, which seemed to hinder her health more than help it. She turned to cannabis as a last resort, ultimately leading her to a healing and self-discovery journey that she never saw coming. She is on a mission to educate others on the power of plant health, mindset clarity, and power of influence and compassion during the toughest times, long term stigmas, and negative opinions. She encourages you to find your highest self, and that doesn't mean getting high. I would love to be able to bring to the stage the amazing, the energetic, the most wonderful spirit I have come across online, Crystal, Canna Living Crystal. Like I love the rhythm of that. Like Canna Living Crystal, Crystal Canna Living, like Crystal.
It's a whole vibe, girl. It's a whole vibe.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sparing some time to come and jump in happy hour with us. Please do let us know, what are you sipping on, girlfriend?
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I'm so honored to be with you all tonight. I'm sipping on a beautiful little Pinot Grigio white wine with an ice cube in it because I like it really cold, with the therma glass here. If you can even see my little cannabis crystals on there, maybe a little bit, some nice little.
I see it. Yes.
But it's not a cannabis cocktail, but we'll talk about that in a little, but I have that set aside as well for this hour.
Awesome. Well, we have some comments dropping in, and if you wouldn't mind, as you drop in a comment, please start with your name. I know that looks weird because in some platforms it says your name, so it's almost redundant that you're typing your name, but this one platform, it does not show your name. And we want to see all of the amazing people who are dropping in and supporting us. So we have one supporter here that says, Crystal, she's so damn amazing. And I know they talking about you, Crystal. They're not talking about me. They're talking about you. With some green hearts. I know that's coming from your tribe, right?
Yeah, the Canna Living high vibes over here,
I love it. We have someone that's sipping on some spiked watermelon seltzer.
Ooh,
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
that sounds nice and light. I like it. I
I
like it.
know, I do. And the weather is changing a little bit. You're out of Florida, so you really get to soak up a lot of that sun that's going on right about now.
Oh
And
yeah, we had a beautiful 70-degree day today. That's why I want to make sure I got my shades here so y'all know who you're looking at from the photo, from the picture and everything. This it's a whole vibe, Like one of the things that I really love about just the things I do and when people see me is I got some cool sunglasses, okay? They're just some basic Ray-Ban, but they're cool, right? There's a whole vibe here with the color and it matches my work jacket, back here, and it's just a whole thing. But yeah,
we see your flag in the background is matching your flag too.
yeah, I love the turquoise color, and it just reminds me of the Emerald Coast too. Because down here in Florida, I'm not like the typical Floridian, because it still gets cold up here. We're on the Northwest Florida Panhandle. I'm almost hop, skip, and a jump over to the Bama side, right by Floribama, right up the road. So it gets cold up here, but today was a beautiful 70-degree day and sun was out. And I know those beach days are real close and coming, but the Emerald Coast, you just can't deny our salt and our white, sandy, pristine beaches. It's just paradise here. It really
Oh,
is. Like I don't
my
need a vacation
favorite
because
place.
it really is paradise here.
Well, we have Stacy that's checking in from Washington State, and she says Crystal is a lifesaver. I'm watching with a glass of Jameson and already had my cloud 8.
Oh, yay. What's up, Stacy? That's what I'm talking about.
And LaShawn is chiming in. Love the vibe, Crystal. Crystal, yes, girl.
Yes, girl. That's LaShawn. I saw you commenting earlier. I knew you were going to tune in. I was excited to see you.
Well, Crystal, I know we have so much to talk about and so little time. I'm telling you, this hour just flies by. But what I do want to make sure that I mention to everyone who's tuning in, please make sure that you tune in to the very end because we have some special things awaiting you if you wait until if you keep tuning in until the end. So let me just put it that way. Wink, wink. We'll share with you a little bit later. But Crystal, I read that amazing bio of yours, and you just have so many different facets of who you are. You're a military vet. You were in corporate 9 to 5. Now you're an entrepreneur, breast cancer survivor, which is near and dear to my heart. Which is how we really originally met online. Was when I was going through my breast cancer recovery. And I reached out to you because of our mutual friend. And shout out to Nigeria. Whoop, whoop.
Nigeria.
She was sharing, your, connecting us. But then I saw on your bio that you were a breast cancer survivor. And when I tell you, you were just so supportive and just so genuine and just so encouraging that, hey, girl, I've been through this. I know what you're going through. And people just don't understand until you're in that situation going through something as traumatic as cancer, especially breast cancer for women. That's a whole nother level, I feel like, because, breasts are kind of associated with, being a woman. And to know that those have been attacked and that they're being cut off, basically, which they are.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And you were just so supportive of me going through that. So, with you going through that, how did, sometimes people aren't very willing to share about going through that experience. I know some who have gone through it and no one really knows that they have. But you're shouting it from the rooftops. And I love that Instagram picture with the things in front. Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was a little risque, a little bit more risque from, my husband wasn't totally thrilled about that, but at the same time it was kind of like, well, I get the message. That's pretty empowering, because the caption is where it really stuck out. But I tell you, when you're reading my bio, I was backstage and I'm feeling it all over again because I go through those emotions and what I had gone through with some of those leaps and bounds and the valleys too, because, when you're going through some of these treatments and they go through these surgeries and, as a premenopausal woman, and I will say I was diagnosed 29 years young. I mean, that was not even like, what the heck, universe is kind of how I looked at it at first. But then I, took on a different mindset and I was like, well, you know what? Cancer picked the wrong bee. So, I'm just going to be one of the ones that kicks the ass and keeps on moving and turning that mess into the message. And I figured, attitude would go a long way. I knew all those kind of things, but I wasn't prepared for the 2 years of, challenges that was going to happen after the initial onset of diagnosis. Cause it's not just surgery, chemo, you're healed, you're good. All right. Nope. There's so much that went into all of it, but I relive those moments when I listen to my bio, and it's one thing for me to read it, but then when somebody else is reading it and I know other people are going to hear my story, it's kind of like, it feels good, because it feels good to know that I've come so far and I am so in pursuit of passion, in my passion, in my field, and with breaking the stigma with the cannabis plant. And then I want to make it sound not such a scary thing. I want to break that stigma and not make it so taboo. And look, like, I turned to this plant to relieve me of not wanting to harm myself. I wanted it to relieve me of all of my pain and my mental displacement when I was not thinking clearly, because I was on 7 different pharmaceutical medications, and 3 or 4 of them was because of side effects from the other ones that I was on. And it was such a vicious cycle, And people don't want to talk about all those things, because you almost feel ashamed, because you're like, I'm supposed to be strong, but yet I'm all messed up. I feel like I can't get it together. And after chemotherapy, if any moms out there that know anything about that pregnancy brain, it's very similar. Like, you start to just forget things. And as you age, and like the chemotherapy, it doesn't just zap those bad cells, it's zapping them good cells too. And I didn't think that my focus was ever going to come back. And still, I feel like I suffer with cognitive, brain and focus, things. And I feel like I've developed more of an ADD type of challenge. But that's one of the main reasons, too, that I turned to cannabis, to keep my life more balanced and to keep me less stressed and to keep me happier. Because truth be told, I think their statistic is something like 78 to 82% of Americans suffer from anxiety, overwhelming stress, and racing thoughts to the point of panic and depression. And the mental health challenges that we have in the world is a big deal. And I am happy that more people are talking about it, and, especially with celebrities and stuff. But like, the more women and people in general that will come out and talk about some of these things that are so scary to talk about, I feel like it inspires people and it strengthens people even more. And I knew that when I was going through it, I had such a great support system between my family, my husband, my friends, my military friends, because I wasn't that far out of the Navy. I'd gotten out at that point. I was a civilian working for the government. I went on disability and I didn't work for a little while, and I had such a great support system. But I also was at a point where, like, I'm still only 30 years old and I can't do some of the fun things that all my friends are over here doing because I'm sick. Like, and I don't have hair, and I don't have, then my eyebrows fell out, and my eyelashes. I really looked like a cancer patient. I was straight up sick, as you would think that if you saw me on the street. She wasn't doing so hot.
Yeah.
And you get to the point in treatment where they get it all, right? They do the surgery, they do the chemo, they get to a point where they get it, but then you look sick because your body's so run down too. You're depleted from everything. You can't get nourishment in your body, but yet you're still gaining weight because of the steroids, because they're pumping you full of all this stuff because they don't want you to throwing everything up. It's just such a vicious cycle. The healing process after any kind of cancer treatment, not just breast cancer treatment, is grueling on the body.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's another reason I turn to, a more holistic approach to health. And I'm not perfect, wine isn't perfect in natural plant medicine, right? But I think we need to pay a little bit more closer attention to some of the factors that come into our lives and the plant-based medicine aspect of all of the cannabis movement as medical marijuana and CBD and Delta 8 and all these different things. It's powerful and it's a freaking movement. And I tell my story in those ways because it didn't just start with breast cancer. It was mental health before that. In my late 20s, I used alcohol as a crutch when I was in the Navy. And anytime I was sad or stressed, I would just drink and drink and drink. And it was glorified because partying, in your 20s in the Navy, drinking like a sailor is a thing. And if you didn't do that, like, what were you doing? You can't smoke pot in the Navy because they'll kick you out. So it's just, the world's such a crazy place. And I'll tell you what, too, back then I was against it. I was against that beautiful flower right there. Totally, totally against it. I grew up in a very conservative town in Pennsylvania, right on the Mason-Dixon line. I knew some people that did some of it. They dabbled in it, and some of them did go on to use other types of drugs. And I was taught growing up in the 90s, there aren't any 90s babies out there. If there's any 90s, let us know. You don't have to tell us the year or nothing. We don't have to dime you out. But come on, where's our 90s millennials, right? But the 90s or 80s, it would actually be 80s babies. But the 90s when we
thank you, because you said 90s baby. I was like, oh my goodness.
No, I'm sorry. I was in high school in the 90s. So the 80s babies, we're still millennial, right? But we were taught to just say no, and the whole DARE program, and marijuana was a gateway drug into all these different things, and you were going to end up crack cocaine on the streets, and you're not going to do much with your life. And it was enough to scare me. I mean, straight up, I'll admit it. I was scared. My parents, they did a good job. Mm-hmm. Then lo and behold, I find out, later on in life, when I come out of the closet telling them I'm using cannabis, they're like, oh, we used it too back then. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I know, right? But I think it's funny now. I look back on it and I'm just like, that's freaking hilarious. My parents are amazing.
So I want to unpack that because there's a lot in that. So I want to get to the stigma piece of it because, I think, the taboo of so many things, especially some of the topics that we have on Career Happy Hour, I intentionally push that envelope because when we talk about things that are taboo, that's being real. That's being authentic. And those are the people, the authentic people are the people that are working. There's just no cookie cutter perfect person who's doing a job or in a career. We all have issues. We all have mental things that we're dealing with, family things that we're dealing with, medical things that we're dealing with. So much that goes into that impacts the way that we make money and how much money we make. So, one of my go-to questions for all of my guest co-hosts is going back to where you started. So I know you mentioned that you were in cybersecurity, which sounds so amazing. I just love that whole
it's fancy.
It is. It's that fancy, the person behind the screen that's checking on all the cybersecurity. How did you even get into that area? And that you were a woman in tech, which is, also an anomaly because, we need more women in technology. And shout out to this month being Women's History Month and this week being International Women's Day. So, of course, I was even more excited about, the amazement of you being on the show this week. But how did you even get in cybersecurity? Do tell us.
Yeah, I actually I get asked that fairly often because they're like, how do you go from this to this to that? And I'm like, I know. I mean, I do have the energy to bounce around, right? But, okay, so growing up, my dad was a computer programmer. Oh. So he was the main provider. My mom worked too, but, he did bring in more of the breadwinner of the household. So I knew that computers were something that was going to be a part of the future. And of course, they taught me to go in that realm possibly. And when I qualified for an IT type of job for the Navy, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm going to be just like my dad. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to make that money. I'm going to be part of evolving really cool things because I graduated high school in 2001. So, that Y2K boom. Everything was about to go
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
So I remember that a little bit, and I knew that I was going in the Navy and I was going to do some cool stuff because I didn't only get picked up for an IT program, I got picked up for a crypto program. Like, that is real fancy stuff. So I was a cryptologic technician maintenance person. So I got to do top secret stuff. I worked in buildings with no windows. Like I was always in the air condition because we had to make sure we kept the crypto cool kind of stuff. But it was some secret squirrel kind of stuff. Stressful. I will say that too. But yeah, after the Navy, because I had such great experience in those 8 years of not only military experience, but being in a niche of, learning a whole lot about networking and frequency, HF, SHF, different kind of frequencies aboard ships and engineering aspects of software development, all these different things. I was like, I can do this. I got picked up for an information security job, a very beginner to intermediate level analytical position for Hewlett Packard, my first job out of the Navy. And I was like, cool, I've made it. I was making $55,000 a year in Norfolk, Virginia on an awesome government contract. And I was like, woohoo, I was making more than I was in the Navy. And I was like, I got benefits. I wasn't married. So I was doing everything on my own. And it was great for a couple years. And then I realized, wait, there was other people around me that were getting paid more than I was. And I actually was kind of getting lowballed a little bit because I had then got a couple certifications. I got my bachelor's degree because I finished that when I got out of the Navy, and I was becoming, better off, but I wasn't getting raises. So I started looking into other positions. I started talking to someone like you who helps place people into amazing career positions. And I got help and found another amazing job that got me a 20K raise working for a government contracting company called CACI. So then I went into another kind of project management, risk management framework kind of position, just doing, I know I don't want to bore everybody with this because they're like, we're here to talk about cannabis. We're not here to talk about freaking computers, man. Just make them work, right? So, but that was the thing. Like, I was part of trying to fix computers all the time. I was a maintenance person with the crypto world. Then I went into, just making sure stuff on the ship was working right. And then I went into cyber risk management, where you had to deliver bad news typically to businesses and to government leadership to tell them what's screwed up with their networks because you got vulnerabilities with the bad guys trying to get in. That's the simplest way to put it. I was trying to protect the bad guys from getting in. I was a small piece of the pie in the cyber warfare program with the military. So I would bounce around for some government contract. I worked for the Navy, the Air Force, the Army. Then I went on to get my master's degree. Then I went on to work for Booz Allen Hamilton, and I just became some shit hot freaking cybersecurity analyst. I hit six figure, girl. I did it. I made my way to hit 1015 was the highest I made it in the cybersecurity world in Norfolk, Virginia. And I was shit hot. I was proud of myself. I would have the blazers on. I would wear the heels. I did the job. But man, it got to me to a point where it was making me absolutely crazy, stressful. I was a woman in a man's world. And not to mention, not just that, but like old school dudes who have been part of computers and government contracts for many, many moons and years. And if you tell them something they don't want to hear, they're not going to hear it from you. This 20-something-year-old woman coming in, talking about STEM stuff and cyber stuff. And honestly, I don't have an engineering mindset. I don't love all of the numbers. God love all the accountants during tax season. Amen to them, because I cannot do with all those digits and stuff and binary. Like, all of that was, oh gosh, kilobits and no megabits. I don't want to do any of that. But after cancer is when it got way worse. So I already knew that it was probably not my 50-year goal for retirement. I knew that I was going to do it to make some money, but I was hoping maybe I could go into something a little different. I even wanted to help, like, be part of sales to get government, to obtain government contracts. Like, I was trying to get into a different kind of realm, but my bosses and stuff wouldn't hear me because I was such a good analyst. I was good at what I did. But I found after cancer and after going through all of that I couldn't think the way I did before. And something that would take me 8 to 24 hours for a week's long worth of work would take me 2 weeks. and I was just not performing the way I used to, and I just dropped the ball. And I don't like to do anything that, you fail at something, drop the ball, stuff, you get people mad at you. And so it was hard. It just became really, really hard. And I didn't feel
Mhm.
appreciated, and I didn't feel like I knew how to do the work anymore. But I was very proud of what I did working for the government. It was a great realm. It was just something that I realized was not totally where I wanted to be forever, long
Yeah.
term. And it
Mhm.
wasn't an overnight, transition from government
Right.
to this,
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's where, there's so much to be said when you start looking for a new job and look for someone like what I do. But there's also something about, and I don't think that a lot of people think this way, is when they're going through that journey and those obstacles, to help someone to help them navigate through those different aspects, that that they seek out someone like me, that can help you keep your sanity to some degree, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of that you question yourself, you question your abilities, that it's about having a support system that is outside of your family and friends, that are just talking to you about whatever they know within their small realm. But there's also the barrier piece of what you talk about. We're talking about breaking barriers and reaching higher levels. You've broken so many barriers just being a woman in the IT industry.
Yeah.
LaShawn, she commented on, she said she could relate. She's in the IT field, in the QA field, and a woman in an old man's world is a really real thing. So you've just been breaking barriers from the beginning. It's almost like you were built for it, Crystal. So, when you go from the corporate world to beating cancer and beating those barriers that people just don't even think about unless you've experienced it and gone through it like we have, you just don't realize all of the things that go along with that, and the after effects that go along with that. And then like you mentioned, just you take this one medicine and you've got the side effects that then, you know, mess up all of the good stuff that you're taking the medicine for. So, where did you take that next leap of, to where you are now, and pushing back those stigmas, as you mentioned, and that taboo about the industry that you're in? So, do tell us, like, how did you make that transition? It sounds like you were forced to make that transition, like something like I was when that pain hit me. Oh my goodness. You're
Yeah.
like, what in the world can I do to get relief? And it's real.
Yeah, girl, it came to a point where I just didn't want to be on any more prescriptions. Like, I didn't want to fill them. I didn't want to feel them. Like, I didn't want to fill them at the pharmacy, and I didn't want to feel them because I was already feeling and not feeling so much. It was such a weird, messed up part of my life that it was kind of a blur too. And then I was drinking, I was abusing this.
Yeah.
To a point where nothing was really working the way it was supposed to at all. And I got to a point where I knew I didn't want to be on the medications anymore, but I relied on them. I needed them. And I got addicted at the hands of a doctor. I mean, I could get freaking Valium and Ativan, and I could get all these different types of things anytime I wanted. Anything they wanted to give me, I could get, because I was a young cancer survivor and I was a professional and I still went to work. Fast forward, I ended up becoming a mother, and I could not have kids because of the suck of chemo or whatever. But that's another story for another day. We went on to adopt our beautiful baby girl, and it was wonderful and amazing. And you would think that that would be the perfect point of a transition in your life, to know that you've done well, your life is amazing, and it was. But because I was on so many different medications and trying to cope with different things, I just felt like I wasn't keeping it together. And my husband was deployed. I was doing things on my own. So fast forward, our daughter's 2.5 years old, and I just got so stressed with the work that I was doing. I didn't feel like I was keeping my head above water, fulfilling my duties and my commitments. I feel like I was constantly undermined at work. And I, was taking care of our daughter and she was safe always. I wasn't reckless, but I did recluse myself. I'm an extrovert by nature, and I did start pulling away. And when I start pulling away and don't talk to anybody, that's probably a problem. And I was just drinking so much. I was gaining weight. The only outlet I still remained public with was somewhat, of course, on social media, kind of faking the funk. But then I went to CrossFit and I was getting strong and I would take my stress out on the gym, but I was still like with medications. And I got to a point where I couldn't be on any more medications. So I was like, what can I do that plants can help me with? Because I was doing essential oils. So I wasn't selling it or anything like that. I didn't go into business. Christina, what's up? I saw some people hop on here. I love it. Thank you guys all so much for the support. Angel, like there's been so many amazing comments on here. LaShawn, Kelly, y'all have been amazing. So thank you for all the hearts and the love. But I started searching for another solution because I knew that essential oils were helping people and I knew there was other plants out there, but of course the whole taboo-ness with the cannabis plant. But then I started seeing one of my fellow breast cancer survivor friends who I respected, who I trusted, and who was a mom of 4 and had her life together. I mean, she was somebody that I really felt a great vibe with from the moment we were introduced because of breast cancer. And we went on to do some really fun things, but we weren't really super close until cannabis brought us together because I started asking her a bunch of questions like, tell me this, tell me that. Like, there's really something out there that's not going to make you high. Are you sure? Are you serious? This is legal. Can I still work for the government if I'm doing that? Like, there was so many different things that go into this, right? And full disclosure and disclaimer, if you do work for the government, you technically are not supposed to touch any kind of cannabis products whatsoever as of right now. Now, things hopefully will evolve and we can kind of get into that in the next question or two, however that looks. But excuse me. But I just had so many questions. And she helped me understand it because she was patient with me. She didn't think I was stupid. I started to open my mind up more. And then I did my own homework. I became my own advocate. And I realized that, wow, some of the things that was happening with numbness in my hands, because I was starting to hurt. I was in pain because I was I was always on the computer and I couldn't type because my hands hurt so bad. Then it was happening in my toes. I couldn't jump rope when I went to the gym, couldn't run because my toes felt like they were going to fall off. And there's a medical term for that, but freaking cannabis helped that go away. And I was able to get off the freaking gabapentin. And I felt like less of a zombie. And then I started feeling happier. I really started it because of how it helped with anxiety and overwhelming sadness. And that was the reason that I wanted to see if it would help me get out of my funk because I was so reclusive and I knew that I was in a really bad headspace. I knew I needed to live for my daughter and my husband who was overseas fighting for our country. My husband's still active duty Navy. And I knew I had so much to freaking live for and do in this world, but my head was not right. And that freaking CBD oil helped me get out of my funk. And it helped me not drink as much. I mean, I was putting down probably 2 bottles of wine, I would say, a night. A box of wine would not last me a week. No wonder I was gaining weight. Like, it was so bad. And I want to help people through some of these dangerous slippery slopes that we can go down, even as productive members of society, even as wonderful moms. You get some tough stuff that happens to you and your doctors think that you have it together, you can get whatever you want. Like, it's scary. And, some of the things I've heard and going to the cannabis realm of stories of it's just saved people's lives. I can't turn away from that. It's intrigued me so much that it's become such a passion. I ended up taking a little side hustle hobby type of job, selling CBD products and educating people and doing seminars and speaking and learning as much as I possibly could because I wanted to understand why I wasn't okay with it years ago. Why was I so against it? What's the history? Why was it banned in 1937? What was the problem? Oh, a lot of it has to do with the freaking government. And I don't want to spread, non-truths, and I don't want to get into political nothing up in any of this area. But it really was a budget, a financial battle between modern medicine and, how that all evolved. And if you do look on the pharmaceutical industry and who's funding it and who funds the TV outlets and why all these pharmaceutical commercials are on TV and who sponsors them. They're all in bed together. And there's reasons why there's been so much opposition to the cannabis plant. It is a natural, beautiful, beautiful plant that can really help with so many different things. And I can't sit here and say it's going to cure, treat, or prevent any disease ever. And I can get in big trouble for something like that. But, if somebody were to go to report me to the FDA, but that's the kind of ridicule we deal with. Like, even in the dispensaries and stuff, they can actually write a lot of the medical stuff on there and have the literature in there because the science is finally starting to show up and prove it. And the medical programs that we have across our nation is just more and more evolving. 35 states that are medical, legally medical. And then, I think it's 15 now that recreational, and it's going to continue to evolve. And I love being part of it. I love educating people on what you are allowed to use depending on your career path too. I never, ever want to ever put anybody's, livelihood at stake. So I'm very honest with people and letting them know, like, even having a medical marijuana card will not protect you from your employment if you were to pop positive on a marijuana drug test, if they say that you cannot have it. So there's all kinds of different things happening in the world. And I love that the state of Florida is actually trying to introduce, and I know I'm all over the place, but I like it. So I love it all. And I'll stop after this, but the state of Florida has recently introduced a bill that will be on the table this legislative session, hopefully, to help protect medical marijuana patients in some realms of employment. Now, there's a lot to evolve here, and a lot will have to happen later with the federal side and all of that. But I really make sure when I talk with people one-on-one, that they understand that their livelihood is in my best interest. I would never recommend something to them that would put that at stake. So I had to learn all that stuff, and it just became so interesting to me. So cybersecurity is like, I'll leave that for the engineer, the big boys that want to handle it. Like, let me go over here and have fun here and free this plant and live high vibes.
Well, I want to make sure that I let people know, if you have any questions while you have, Crystal here on live, please make sure you drop them in the comments. If you have any questions, anything that you've ever wondered about, like, make sure that you pop them in the comments. And then if you have any situations that come up with your background check when it comes to employment, I know Crystal's touched on that a little bit, but that's the area that I specialize in. Like, if you're going through the employment process and you have a question on your background and you're like, ooh, how should I answer this? Then you need to make sure that you're emailing me so that we can make sure that we work through that together, because there are very specific guidelines, and they're not across the board with different companies. So especially if you're in the job search mode, make sure that we talk through that a little bit. And so we have some questions that have popped up, or comments rather. So this comment is, I help.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Von Seal?
It's good, because on my end it's coming up. It doesn't have the name. She says, it helped me so much. However, I'm on 31 medication per day. I can't afford to use it on a regular basis. So that was really good. And then another one, so interesting. And yes, the stigma gets in the way. So is there anything that you can, because, the cost aspect of it, I think probably goes back to what you were talking about, Crystal, is just that battle almost in the how the government and the medical insurance and all of those different aspects work together. And the other thing that I'll mention is that, please, if you're going through anything from a medical standpoint, including cancer, you've got to educate yourself. You've got to be your own best advocate, because and not to, discredit doctors, because they're amazing at what they do, but they're practicing medicine. The key word there is they're practicing medicine. And they may say this is what your treatment can be, but then you got to make sure that as your own advocate that you're asking those questions, or know what questions to ask to get the answers that you need. Because I know that's what I went through with my cancer. It was exhausting to think about all of the different things that are thrown at you. And fortunately, I had someone coach me through that situation, that I knew what questions to ask so that I could get the answers that I needed. So I'm putting that plug out there to make sure that just because a doctor tells you to do something does not mean that that's in your best interest of being healthy, if you get my drift.
True.
And
True.
I will turn it over to Crystal from that point, because that's where it's about doing what is most beneficial to you as an individual. And a lot of times medicine, it serves its purpose, but sometimes long term it does not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I want to touch on Von Seal's, I hope I'm saying that, I'm sorry if I'm not. I want to touch on that comment because we walk a fine line with all of this, and there is a place for certain medications, and we know that people do have to rely and live on medication sometimes, a lot of times, but the problem is that the doctors in modern medicine don't advocate or push you to look into what natural ways can remediate the situation as well. So the one of the main root causes of all disease is inflammation, and that's something that we all suffer from in any kind of capacity. If you ever have something that hurts, the root cause of it is inflammation, and a lot of that comes from sugar. And if the doctors aren't talking to you about eating more of your greens instead of the donuts, then that's where we fall short here. And that's why we want to encourage you to be your advocate, your own advocate, and do the homework and do the research and look at Western versus Eastern, and the different the different Chinese medicines. Like, it's not hocus pocus bogus. Like, there's a lot that goes into all of this, and there's so many doctors out there now that you can go on Amazon and you look up cannabis books, cannabis medicine books, and you will see so many written by so many prestigious, respected doctors. But the thing is, when you're on all kinds of medications, and I want to go back to that comment, you can't afford it. You can't afford the cannabis medicine. That is part of the problem with the whole structure and how it all is, because cannabis is so expensive. But it's such a free growing plant that doesn't even require a ton of maintenance, just like climate control and stuff, like, and keep the bugs out. It's crazy to me how expensive the medical programs and the recreational. Like, I get it. I'm with you 100% on that. And our healthcare and our insurances are paying for the medications. So what route are you going to go? Because you got to pick and choose what your budget, what you can afford. I get it 100%. I can sympathize with that. I know sometimes when the military covered my medicine, so I can get whatever I want. They don't cover the cannabis, and I spend $300-400 a month on it. It's a car payment. And that just comes to, it kind of boils down to what you're willing to give and take in your life. And honestly, when you turn to different approaches to cutting out the sugar and staying on the outside aisles of the supermarket too, and more plant-based diet, maybe avoiding some of the hormones and meat and stuff, but avoiding that sugar is huge. But there is, Angel said, there's so much information out there. Where do you recommend we start to determine what's best for us and our needs? Absolutely. So one of the biggest things I tell people, especially when they're getting started with cannabis, is to just Google whatever your ailment is. Hear other people's stories. So Google, okay, so my ailments, and I don't want to just target cancer because it's very controversial. There is a lot of studies out there that high potency CBD and THC and RSO, those kind of things can inhibit tumor cell growth, but I can't sit here and ever say it's going to cure cancer. I did go through chemo. I went through radiation. I went through all of the modern medicine treatments. If it ever came back again, I would absolutely consider all things RSO and cannabis, but I still would probably go through chemo as well. So full disclaimer on all of that. So, but there are people out there that they will never do chemo again, and they will rely solely on the different plant-based approaches. There's a lot of documentaries out there. After we get through with this, I can put a whole bunch of stuff in the comment section, and I'll put some links to some of the .gov websites that show the studies with cannabis and cancer. So that way we're not sitting here talking, because I know our time is limited. This hour does go by so fast. Holy moly. But I'll post a bunch of stuff down here to help you guys get started on where to look. But if you are Googling an ailment, so let's go a little beyond cancer. So anxiety and cannabis. That's all you need to Google, and it'll a whole bunch of thousands of articles will come up. And you can look at news articles, and you can look at blogs, and you can look at other people's stories. You will find credible resources, even from universities and such, on all of this kind of stuff. But if you don't know what to get as far as like, what do I do? Do I do THC, CBD? Do I indica, sativa? What kind of balances? 1 to 1, 1 to 4, 1 to 8. I get a medical card. I don't know what the heck to do. That's when a cannabis consultation will come into effect. I do stuff like that for free typically, but I do recommend to other people. It's really good to even pay somebody in the community to do something like that when you're obtaining a medical card. But your own homework and your research, you can find almost everything you need on Google. There is a really great resource called projectcbd.org, nonprofit organization. Again, I'll drop it in the comments after all of this, but it's a great place to start to look at all kinds of studies. It's all very, very good, respected kind of literature to read up on, I guess you would say, not just like some of the news articles here and the news articles there. But I will say that Forbes, which is one of the more respected news media outlets, they are super pro cannabis over there. They're like, free that plant, man. So keep an eye on Forbes. They're the ones that started, putting the articles out there about how having CBD and cannabis as part of your supplement regimen is increasing your immune system and helping prevent some of the inflammation from COVID and helping COVID recovery faster. Again, I cannot claim any of this is true or not, but the articles are out there in black and white with Forbes shared millions of times. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of resources out there. Von Seal says, I have myasthenia, I don't even know what MG is. Oh my gosh, I'd have to research that. I'm a person on the 31 medication. One is the gabapentin. I'm very familiar with that. It's controlled medication. I'm tested every 3 months for cannabis and other drugs. So you're in a pain management. So if you're typically in a state where you are in a pain management, you're in a pain management, care, and you're in a state where you're not medical or you can't have any kind of cannabis, you can't use it. It's such a shame, or they will kick you out of pain management. I wish there was something that I could do or say to change that, but it's not. It's just the way it is right now until hopefully laws will change. And if you want to see stuff like that happen, I really encourage people who are pro-cannabis that want to see these kind of things change to get involved with their local state's NORML, NORML. There's a nationwide one, and every single state has a pro-cannabis advocacy program called NORML. And in Florida, we have another organization called Florida Cannabis Action Network. And I think it's really important to get involved into additional realms of other pro-cannabis people that want to see change happen, because without people speaking up about it, it's not going to happen. That was a lot. Sorry. I know we want to keep it all like high. I got all really serious. I'm going to take my Delta 8 and calm down. That's another thing. So if you're in a state where you don't have a medical program, you don't have a recreational program, and you're not subject to drug testing, you can get something called Delta 8, and it's legal, and it's actual THC. It's a loophole in the law. It's one of those, another gray area. Telling you, go to Google and Google what is Delta 8 THC, and you'll see all kinds of stuff. You can watch beautiful YouTube videos on it. You got people sizing it up, telling you how it's different from the controlled Delta 9 THC. It's very interesting. The cannabis world is so magical.
You just popped that in front of us, and we're over here. We're trying to calm ourselves. All of this, you're wrong for this. You're wrong. So, but this is a great segue.
I'll send you some.
Okay. So this is a great segue though, because like you said, this hour, goes super, super fast, and we've got to make sure that we, give our treats to those who have stayed to the end. So when we talk about, what you are able to provide to individuals, you're an advocate, you are full of information. And there's also products that you sell. So give us a little bit of insight about, one, how can people stay in touch with you? Two, if they feel as if there's something that they need assistance with, how can they connect with you to be able to get that information from you?
Sure. Yep. So my main outlets for connection on social media is Facebook and Instagram. So on Facebook, I am Crystal Marie, and I can drop that in. Well, I think I'm tagged. Or I'm in the group. you can connect with me in the group. And then on Instagram, it's Canna Living Crystal, which is on the flyer, the beautiful graphic that we have here. And then I'm also on TikTok, and that's been fun and interesting because sometimes Facebook will ban you because of wanting to free the plant and talk about it. So I was in Facebook jail for a whole month at one point. So I went to TikTok and turned it up over there a little bit. So I'm on TikTok. It's Canna Living Crystal. And then if you go to cannalivingcrystal.com, you can get a hold of me in all the ways right there on a link tree. So it's super easy, but I do like to pride myself in letting people know that, yes, I do sell products. I do help you get your hands on high quality CBD and the legal Delta 8 THC mailed right to your door. Full transparency. Yes, I sell products. However, what you get with me is an experience. I want to make sure you're comfortable with what you're using. I want to make sure you ask all the questions. I want to make sure that I provide you with service that is elitist than going into a CBD store. And I'm telling y'all, do not get it at gas stations, please. Okay. If you're not going to get it from someone like, in a realm that I'm in, that's fine. But please do your homework, and quality is so important. There's so much stuff on this market. It is such a wild, wild west market. I would trust medical marijuana programs. I do not trust CBD stores. The hemp industry is wild, wild west, and the regulations are just not that strong out there, guys. So quality is very important. Third-party testing is very important. Actually putting your eyes on a third-party test is very important. But when you're getting a product like this, you don't have the ability to, in a store, to just call them up and say at 9 o'clock, why am I feeling like this? Am I too relaxed? Is this right? Is this okay? Is this what feeling high is like? I want people to understand what the difference between a high and a euphoric, happy feeling is. People don't realize how bad sometimes their mental state is until they get out of it, and they're like, is it really that good? Like, am I really experiencing something that the weight has just really truly been lifted from me that much? But I'm not totally high. I can still go drive. It's happened to me when I get done with like a really good workout or a really good hot yoga class. Have you ever felt a little lightheaded? You ever stand up too fast or something? You're just like, you just have a different sense of a body feeling. Okay. So understanding those things, I'm a consultant for you. I'm an advocate for you. If you talk to me for 2 hours and you still don't buy a product, I ain't going to be mad at you, but I'm going to want to make sure you're going somewhere to get something that's quality in your life. If I've gained your trust enough to maybe you refer me, then great. If you want to get involved in some of the, if you're local to where I live and you want to get involved in some of the things that we do to help advocate in the community, to help people understand that they don't have to pay $500 or $600 to get a medical card, and people like that are ripping them off. They need to go to different trusted places that are only going to charge them what the actual price should be, between the $300 and $400. Like, these are the things people need to know. And of course, when it comes to your career and your job, you go into some of these CBD stores, it's like, you want a steak at McDonald's? No, you don't. You want to walk in here and ask about your career options and what you can take and what you can't. And you're going to trust the person behind the counter. I'm sorry, but not to make anything derogatory, but making minimum wage, they don't necessarily care as much. They're back there selling, cannabis, and they're like, yeah, man, I'm just working here. Okay. So they're not trying to sell you the best thing that's going to be the best for you. So I think it's really important to work with people that you do have a vibe with, and that is educated. I have fun too. I mean, this was kind of serious a little bit more. I'm a high vibe, fun person and stuff. Definitely connect with me online. I love to inspire people and just show people that you don't have to be what society tells you. I wear these beautiful cannabis earrings like all over, town. I don't know if you can see them or not, but like, I typically have a leaf on my shirt. This is what I was wearing today, and I thought it was very business professional and super comfy and cozy, so I felt it was working for me. But I didn't even share my pictures. I want to do that. Can I do that?
Yes, please show your pictures.
I'm going to show my pictures really quick because I just want to show just a progressive little thing from everything we've talked about today. So I'm going to turn that off because I want to avoid the glare. But so this was me in the Navy, right? Oh man, I'm not so good at this. Okay, so that's me in the Navy. And then I was on a ship too. So there she is. Where am I here? I'm not so good at the backwards thing. So I'm this one right here. Ooh, it's backwards. Where am I? That's me right there. Okay, on the ship with a bunch of dudes here. And girls. There's some great girls here. Great gals. And then fast forward, get out of the Navy, right? Cancer. Okay, there's the Cancer chapter. There it is. There she is. That's really me. Yes, boys and girls. Okay. And then now, and I know you didn't see some of the in-between pictures and all that, but here we are. This was just a month or two ago with my family, my little girl and my hubby. Okay, super handsome, and she's super beautiful. I have never been more healthy. Okay, I have never been more healthy. And then I'm just gonna give my little a shot because look how cute she is. She's just so pretty. And I feel like focusing more on a plant-based regimen, and honestly, I am pro recreation too. You want to smoke up a little bit or have a couple extra edibles to feel that buzz and not take on the calories? Cheers, sister. As long as you're not doing it recklessly.
We're going to cheers to that. Cheers. So I so appreciate you, Crystal, on so many different levels. I just, from the first time we chatted online, there was just something about your energy that was just, it's just like a magnet. It's just, you draw people into you, and you can tell that you genuinely care about people. There's people out there that they look good on social media, but they're looking good for themselves. You truly care, and that's the type of people that I like in my tribe and in my circle. And that's where I really just adore you on so many levels, and just woman crush on you, girl. I just woman crush on you.
I was so honored to be here. Thank you. I really was. And I show up on social media with no makeup, not looking cute, and I still get love. And that's what it's all about. Be authentic. Follow where you feel like your mold is. Do you?
Yes. Exactly. And that, we've talked about barriers in so many different ways. And, even though, a lot of it is just, it just happens every day. And like we talked about with it being International Women's Day this week. So those who have stayed to the end, I want you to hashtag choose to challenge, which is the theme for International Women's Day. Hashtag choose to challenge. Make sure you drop it in the comment section. And when I say that hashtag is so powerful to our story that we've talked about tonight, because when you talk about advocacy, that's where you're choosing to challenge the status quo. It takes people continuing to challenge not only those who are impacted by it, but also allies. And there's so many different aspects of allyship that we need in this world.
We do.
It's just, and sometimes you don't know how to be an ally. And so that's where it's about, I'm just such a lifelong learner. Like, I'm always searching for information. I'm curious. I'm inquisitive. And that's when you really get to see what life is about. And that's what it sounds like you've done, Crystal, is that you have just continued to be inquisitive. You continue to challenge the status quo. You choose to challenge, girlfriend. Even when you're in Facebook jail, you're up here finding other ways to choose to challenge. It's a choice. It is a very intentional, deliberate choice that we make each and every day, each and every time, each and every situation that we have to be able to move past. You did a live that really talked about how far we have come as women. And it's amazing to think that it wasn't a very long time ago that we didn't have a lot of the rights that we have as women.
Yeah.
It's scary to think about.
Women weren't even allowed on Navy ships and on Navy vessels until 1994, y'all. What? Crazy.
It is absolutely crazy, but it is about us continuing every day. Oh, I'm seeing all these choose to challenge up in here. I'm loving it.
I am too.
Choose to challenge. So tell us tell us, Crystal, what is it that our lucky winner of those who have dropped in hashtag choose the challenge will be able to get from you?
Yes. So thank you all so much for being part of this and sticking with us for this whole hour. I think it was jam-packed. It was amazing. There's hella value here. LaShena, thank you again so much for having me. You are amazing. I love being connected to you and being part of your circle and your tribe. I appreciate you. Everybody that's participating with us tonight, and if you want to tag a friend and see if they want to catch the replay and then comment and participate by Friday, we're going to do a drawing for a $50 gift card for any product that I offer, including this is high quality hemp flower, and I can ship this to different states. It is not marijuana bud. I just want to make that very clear too. But I am allowed to have that much because I do have a medical card. Anyway, I digress. But it's a $50 gift card, okay, to different products that I offer, and I can talk you through that. And of course, a free cannabis consultation. I'll give you an hour of my time to talk about whatever you want so we can hopefully get you on the right track. Even if you're in a state where I can't help you at all, I will point you in the direction where you need to do your homework and your research. But y'all have been amazing. What a great group. Gosh, thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you, Crystal, so much. You have been absolutely amazing.
This was so fun.
Thank you.
One last little plug. Sorry, my bad. I'm going to be starting a podcast. So if you thought this was fun and I want to have you on my podcast, if you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to be a guest with me when I get that off the ground, because I think you are hella value too. And this is a good friend to be in touch with, y'all. So connect. Let's all network together and lift each other up.
Yes, that's what it's about, lifting each other up. Oh my gosh, Crystal. Oh my gosh, amazing. I just cannot tell you how amazing. And we didn't even talk about everything that we probably could have talked about, but like I said, just because we've done one show does not mean that we can't do a redo, because we have so much that we are continuing to do in this world and so much more that we want to do in this world. So please make sure that you drop in the comment section hashtag choose to challenge, because we're choosing to challenge around here. And we really want to make sure that we're giving you the nuggets and all of the information, the tips, the techniques to make sure that you are as successful as possible in whatever aspect that is of your career, your mental state, your family, your finances. All of that goes into what you make and how much you make. So grateful for you to spend this time with us. And if you're on the replay, make sure that you do hashtag replay, and you still qualify to win. So just make sure that you pop in, choose the challenge before Friday, and Friday we'll do the drawing. Again, so grateful for you being here with us for another episode of Career Happy Hour. I am LaShena Recruitalina, your six-figure career brand coach. I am absolutely obsessed with your success. I want to ensure that you stay recruitable, visible, and profitable as you rock your oomph. I look forward to another session, another show, another episode of Career Happy Hour with you next week. Make sure you tune in. Good night.